What's good, YouTube? What's good? This is STORMYBMAN, and I am back welcoming you to the post-fight show with STORMYBMAN for this Saturday, April 10th, 2021. And we had a full day worth of boxing today, and we're going to try to talk about a little of all of it, and all of it not so little. So with that being said, welcome to the show. I want to also welcome my co-host here out there with some wonderful calls on the fights this evening. Very exciting stuff and very engaging chat. My man, Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens. How you doing this evening, Reggie?
Man, doing good, OG. And man, this was a good day of boxing. And we don't need superstars that won't fight each other to get good boxing.
Hey, man, it's a great thing to see fighters out there engaging, doing their thing, and putting on a show, but not necessarily in the type of showcasing or showboating, but performing. And we're talking about men and women, Reggie. You know what I'm saying? We saw some fights today that remind us all why we love the sport. And what's most disappointing in that reminder is, as you just stated, it wasn't none of your favorites. It wasn't none of your people that you deem stars at the top of the sport, because they don't have the nuts to get out there and perform like some of the fighters that we've seen today. And we're going to get a chance to talk about all of it, man. It's exciting to see the sport when it still goes the correct way, and people who deserve to get some shine actually get their day in the sun, man. It's a beautiful thing. And I love that. I love it. And I think everybody that tuned in to the shows today out there, they love it as well, because we're seeing things with these fighters. You know, they're out there doing their thing. Sorry about that. They're out there doing their thing, and it's like, you know, wow. You know what I'm saying? Before we get started, though, let's just go ahead and welcome some of the brothers and sisters that come out there in the chat to support us on the evening. We got Mr. Mechanical out there. He says, what it do, Stormy? Andrew Charles is out there, says, salute Stormy in chat. Salute to you, brother. Thrill Hill is out there. He says, salute Stormy B and Reggie. Silvestrio's out there, says, Stormy, what's good? Kenneth Johnson, the resident medic, is out there, says, salute Stormy B man in chat. Watcher is out there and says, Ajaba is food for everyone. Smith Jr. All right. PGH Big Dog says, salute Stormy B man in chat. He says, Boots is ready for everyone. He got all the tools. Pennsylvania, stand up. Mark Nash is out there, says, good fight. Salute to you, Mark. Good to see you. JJ is out there, says, salute, 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 salute to you, brother. And who else we got? It's jumping up now. People are coming in making comments. He says, or should I say, good fights. It was a packed day. Yes, sir, man. I love it when it's like that. As long as they eventually they understand what we say and mean about spreading this throughout the day. You know, a couple of hours difference in between shows, and we could watch everything without anything having to overlap or whatnot, you know. And we got to keep driving that to them till they get the message, man. We got to keep telling them, keep saying that this is what we want, you know. Maybe they'll finally catch on. PGH Big Dog says, all facts, Mark Nash. Watcher says, Power isn't sick. He is slow and has terrible positioning. He is food. Or you still talking about Ajaba? Okay. Mr. Mechanical is saluting Reggie. DT is out there, says salute Stormy B-Man and chat. Shamar Rashawn Shalom says much love and respect to Stormy B and Reggie. Appreciate that. PGH Big Dog says Watcher Truth. Leaving Shields was a bad move. He is not improving. TS Boxing. That's Tyrone out there. He says, man, Ennis put on a performance. Touched a bit, but only because he felt he was in no danger. Too much firepower. And Watcher says, left PBC, left Shields, and is the salt of the division. He going in on Ajaba, man. F.A. Ajaba done made my man Watcher angry, man. I don't know what's up with that. But we feel you, Watcher. We feel you, man. And my man out there, Taylor Bell, he's out there in that super chat with a donation for the channel. He always comes through that way, that brother Taylor Bell. Much respect to him. Appreciate what you do in supporting the channel, man. Always, always. But, yeah, it's funny, Reggie. People get angry. They get upset. And they want to express it, and they express it like they do, I ain't mad at them. I ain't mad at them at all. Mr. Mechanical is out there. He says, Watcher, 3 strikes. He cut out all bad moves. Jeff the producer is out there, says, Storm and Reggie salute y'all. And L Dub is out there. He says, what's good? What's good with you, L Dub? And Reggie is doing double duty out there. And what else we got? Oh, it's jumping up again. Ricky E 245 is out there. He says, what's up? Andrew Charles says, Tay Jones got his man out of there. Okay, I didn't get a chance to see Tay Jones. So let's get down into it, Reggie. I guess we'll lead off with what was just ending. And that was the card that featured the Showtime card that featured the main event that everyone looked forward to, and that was Jaron Ennis taking on Sergey Lipinets, man. Let's just get down on into it, Reggie. When we talk about this particular fight, it was supposed to be a coming out party, so to speak, for Jaron Ennis. The word out there is that they've put offers out for fights to numerous fighters, some well-known names and everything, but no one is chomping at the bit to get in the ring with him. And Sergey Lipinets' people took the fight. A lot of times that can be something that's open for conjecture, because when you have a hot prospect, it's always good to say, like, oh, we can't get a fight. We can't get nobody to sign a contract and things of that nature. And that's all fine. But eventually you do have to get in the ring. And so tonight it was a chance with Sergey Lipinets. With it fresh in your mind, Reggie, give us your thoughts on this fight and the build up to it and the eventual happenings, how things ended up.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a real good fight, and I thought this was a good test for a step-up fight for Jaron Ennis. As a matter of fact, that was a good thing about this card. You had 2 fights that were step-up fights, and also a title fight on it. Jaron Ennis coming in here, I was hoping he wouldn't play, which he cleaned that up. He spoke about in the post-fight. Those are some of the things he needs to work on and clean up. I give him a passing grade for doing that, and knowing that he wasn't in here against these other caliber of fighters he's been in there with. He's in here with a former champion and a former title contenders. And Lipinets is going to be a serious test for him. He was getting hit with a few shots that he needs to clean up. And I was seeing people were saying he needs to clean up on some of his defense. And I think he needs to clean up. I think he can clean up, but I think he needs to stay awake in fights at all time and anticipate things coming back at him, because Lipinets was, being a shorter fighter, able to get these shots that had Ennis kept these things clean, would have never touched them. He's getting hit with I think he got hit with multiple of those big shots. But he showed that he has a strong chin. He's able to take those punches clean. Also, when he sees the punches, he rolls with it a little bit to take something up off of it. But his ability to punch, his accuracy, where he guides these punches, and the power that impacts when those punches strike, it's something that's going to cause trouble, man. It's really something that's going to cause trouble. And I like his patience in his fight. And the way that he sets things up, because he has the ability
to... Hold that thought right there, Reggie. Yeah. I just want to get to the super chats.
Yeah, go ahead.
We had a couple of super chats come in there. Shout out to Curtis Anderson, a.k.a. Kurt Sugar, in the super chat. He says, Ennis's footwork is different from everybody else's. When he becomes more seasoned, he will be more of a problem. And shout out also to T-Town Cruz out there in the super chat. Says, Boots lose focus and get hit with stuff he shouldn't. Yeah, great point there. I actually am concerned about that as well, because he's confident in his abilities and everything. But I don't want to cut Reggie's cook off on that. Go ahead, Reggie. I just wanted to get the super chats out the way, and then we can come back to the comments.
Yeah. But I was was stating that there's things he needs to clean up, that punches like that shouldn't be able to hit him. But back to his ability to punch, the way he delivers, where his stances are, to be able to strike when he's throwing a hook, he's in position, anticipating what punches. When he sees an opening, I kind of notice when he sees an opening, he's make these quick on-the-fly adjustments, and he'll get his feet in place. He'll turn his body in a position to, and he does subtle things. He'll switch back over into an orthodox position, get in position to throw a left. And he's into where he bounces through so many phases of what he is in a fight. He can switch to becoming a counter puncher, lead off boxer. He can bang on the inside. His abilities to avoid shot, move out of there is brilliant. And his punching power is there. And he's not like he has to load up and overcommit on trying to get knockouts. He's becoming a polished fighter, and I like the fact that they're moving this guy along well. I think it is time for him to move up within the top 5. I think he's there. These other guys at this other level, I think he's beyond it. He can test himself out with Virgil Ortiz, but I doubt if Ortiz even wants to fight him. I think Ortiz realizes that he needs to slow himself down a little bit based on that last fight he had with, who was that he fought? Maurice Hooker, I believe. That he may have to slow things down, because a fighter like Jaron Ennis with the foot movement, ability to punch, fight at different angles, and being out of the southpaw position will give Ortiz a hell of let him go up there with these top guys. If he loses, it's just the drawing board he goes to. But that's my thoughts on that. Salute to the OG Kurt.
Yes, sir. And to go back to the 2 super chat comments, first with Curtis's comment, he's about Ennis's footwork. You know something? When I saw him for the very first time, which was about 4 fights ago, I think it was, I said he had Roy Jones-like talent. And what I meant by that is he has a bit of athleticism mixed in with the boxing that he does that kind of sets him aside, from the common orthodox boxer. But what I do see, and I'm going to say something that's not popular here, as I'm known to do from time to time, what I do see is not enough of the foundation of boxing to go with that athleticism. Basically, he's doing things with that athleticism right now because he's of a prime age where he can get away with a lot of mistakes and things of that nature. But if he were to shore up his boxing technique, he will always have something to fall back on as he ages and reflexes change, timing changes, and things like that. That's what happened to Roy. He relied upon that so much that eventually when that went away it was like he fell off a cliff. He was no longer that awesome streaking star that he was when that athleticism dissipated. And that's why another fighter like a Bernard Hopkins could fight well into his age, because the foundation of boxing is very, very solid, not the foundation of athleticism. And when you get those tools together, you sharpen them and you make certain that they are proficient, and then you mix that in with the athleticism and everything, and you really become a formidable opponent and talent out there. One of the things that I hate to see these young guys doing now is carrying their hands low and that rolling their hands and moving their shoulders like they're doing something, but they're not. And the thing is like technical, good, solid boxers can beat you. They can beat you with timing and they can beat you with technique. And that's something that younger fighters don't know yet because they don't have nothing to fall back on. If you've been knocking everybody out because they've been putting you in there with guys that you can really knock out, you know, where is the stage for development? Now, when you get guys in there who can take what you have to dish out, then you have to go rounds and you have to find other ways to solve problems. And that's one of the things that we need to see, not just hear them say stuff like, okay, nobody wants to fight him. Oh, there'll be some guys out there to fight him. And he's been on Showtime. He can be on television again. And money comes with that. So they throw enough money at people, they'll get in there with it. But I just wanted to point that out. His performance was spectacular. Lipinets was never going to be able to keep up with that athleticism. And what we wanted to see was if he could ask some questions of Ennis tonight. And he did to a very, very slight degree. But he was worried about a lot of the incoming. You could see Ennis was a lot bigger than him and possibly a lot stronger than him. And his punching power was very formidable. And the guy has to be careful because you run into something you don't see, you're going to get slept. And even though they showed the replays of those punches, they weren't landing as solidly as you might have thought when you saw it live. Lipinets just didn't want no more of that. It was like, that was more of a mental thing, because when he hit the canvas, he made no, look like he wanted to get up or anything. And when that last replay showed, when that punch went through his guard, it kind of hit his chin and shoulder. He made it up at that point that he was like, oh, I don't want no more and everything. So now it's time to get him in there with some guys that can definitely take it on the chin and give him the rounds and work and let us see him break guys down, systematically and everything using boxing. But the punches that he took, he didn't have to worry about Lipinets' power, I don't think. I think what he will have to worry about at the end of the day is who can really box. Because a guy that can really box is going to present a whole different set of problems there. And I see my man Kurt Sugar has popped into the building. Hey, Kurt, how's it going? You can go on ahead and come in with your thoughts about Ennis and his performance tonight.
Oh, well, I'm going to be objective with what you guys saying about Ennis. And I'm going to tell you what I see. I see a guy that once he becomes seasoned, he's going to be a problem for anybody. I'm talking Spence, I'm talking Crawford. Not right now. He has 26, 27 fights. Experience and season is two different things. Experience is when you have enough fights, certain amount of fights. Season is when you move up the ladder and start fighting top competition. Ennis is not getting hit with those punches. Those punches are grazing Ennis. When you look at Roberto Duran, he used to go through the same thing. When you look at Evander Holyfield, when he fought Alex Stewart and Michael Dokes, people thought he was getting hit flush. And after the first fight, he said the only time he was hurt was against Riddick Bowe. If you really look at boxing, you can see that. He has this kid sees everything coming. That's why he fights on the inside. But this is what is going to be on the menu for Ennis. As he steps up in competition, he's going to box more. And he can box, Stormy. He can box. But he's so dynamic and he has so much swag, he can afford to fight like that. But he can't box. You saw him box with range, but you saw him do that against Lipinets. He was mixing up his attack. He broke Lipinets down to the body. If you look at between rounds, a couple of rounds before the knockout, Lipinets didn't want no more. He didn't want no more. I seen his face. I said he resigned, but he soldiered on, and he was broken down. And then that one solid punch was going to do it, and he got hit with that hook, and then boom, that punch between the guard, and that was it. He made no sign of getting up. He knew he couldn't win. This is not the best of Jaron Ennis. And people said, he needs to clean up his defense. The little things he needs will come with seasoning. But he's going to fight different when he steps up in competition. He's not going to fight Crawford Spence or Virgil Ortiz on the inside like that, where he just roll away from punches. You fight differently as you step up in competition. And it's going to be a long night for a lot of those fighters once he does that, because he has a beautiful jab. Beautiful jab. I watched everything he did tonight, just with a lens. And I was like, you know what? I said, I kind of knew, but I seen him do it against Lipinets. Lipinets is not an easy guy to fight. I asked Mikey Garcia, I asked Lamont Peterson, Castillo Clayton. And he made Lipinets didn't win a round. Ennis landed at one round 75% of his power punches. I mean, he was hitting Lipinets with everything the kitchen sink. And that's how you score a knockout. You build blocks for a knockout by going to the body, then going to the head. His father was telling him what to do, giving him great instructions. His father was telling him, stay tight, meaning, keep his defense tight. But it's his footwork that's going to be the problem for people. And I'll tell you now, if Virgil Ortiz fight him and he boxes Virgil Ortiz, and that's what's going to happen. Virgil Ortiz doesn't have the hand speed. Virgil Ortiz needs you to stand in front of him to be effective, like somebody like Maurice Hooker. We saw what happened. Spencer Crawford will not be the alpha dog when you're talking about rhythmic and perpetual motion. But it's too early right now. Give him some more fights in the upper echelon of the division, and you're going to see a new emerging star in the welterweight division. But this kid has more natural talent than any of them guys. But Crawford and Spence, they're more proven. And Sean Porter, too, they're more proven than the Ennis because they've been there longer. It's just a matter of time. Keep this kid busy, get him the right fights, let him fight a Jamal James or Custodial Clayton, because you want to put him in with different styles like they did Floyd Mayweather. You put a young fighter in with different styles so he can adapt, and that will speed up the process of him being more seasoned. But if this kid said, I don't want to knock out tonight, and he just go in there and box, it may not be exciting, but his footwork is a problem. And I'm big on fighters with footwork because it can get you out of trouble and it can neutralize your opponent.
I agree with that, Kurt. Definitely agree with that. And I love the fact that these dudes play around so much in this game and take away opportunities from folks who come right along the heels of them and surpass them. But I agree, Boots is going to be a major issue. And hopefully when he gets the belts, he doesn't play the games of these other guys. He got to keep that train running, unlike these other dudes.
Salute.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
1 second, Kurt. Salute to the African sci-fi scholar out there in that super chat. The brother says, salute. Boots makes me excited for the future at 147, 154. And salute to Taylor Bell out there in the super chat also, who says, I would like to remind our fine viewers to make sure we get the likes up. You're not going to find better commentary than right here. Yeah, we have almost double the people watching than we have likes. Now, that's a disappointment, because why would you come here and just be listening if you don't like what you're listening to? Come on now. Please hit the like button. Show some love and support for the channel. Salute to Big Snack Pack also out there in the super chat. Appreciate everyone who's decided to hit that super chat, man. It's one of those things. It shows that, you know, the channel is being supported as well as the content. Yeah, as far as the points that Kurt made, speaking about Boots Ennis, it's something that I don't quite see it that way yet. There's some other things that I'm looking for, but I am not raining on his show for tonight, because he gave an excellent performance. He beat a man much more experienced than he was tonight, and beat him pretty good. I mean, he beat Lipinets down. That's why when Lipinets hit that deck, he wasn't trying to get back up. But my thing is, I just say, like now, and Reggie mentioned this during his live stream call of the fight, it's like you can't put training wheels back on. You have to go forward now. And these conversations, like I said, talking about can't get anybody in the ring with him. Or you could get somebody in the ring with him, but you just got to pay people. And that's the price of fame. It comes with that. You have to pay people to get them in there. So, but a great performance by him tonight. What we'll see in the future, I don't know, because it's like, you know, a lot of people watch Showtime and Showtime Championship Boxing, and there will be some that, you know, not want to get in there with him. I think for the first of the big names out there that people should push for to get in there with him should be someone like Keith Thurman. Now, you know Keith Thurman don't want none of that, right? You know it. But isn't it great just grinding someone like Keith Thurman with the personality that he has, grinding his face near the saw blade, just pushing it near that rotating blade, and you want to get it right there just before it nicks him, right? And that blade being Jaron Ennis. Put him in there, you know, get in there or don't get back in there at all. That's what I'm saying. And with the young guns that's coming up now, it's funny. Keith Thurman may not come back at all, to tell you the truth, because he look around and he see landmines and everything, you know, everywhere he looks, everywhere he steps, he may step into some boo-boo. You know what I'm saying? So it would be great to put him in that type of situation, man. I was like, you know what? That's what we should see. And it'll be the end of Thurman, and that'll be a great quality name for Jaron to step forward and say, hey, okay, guys, I'm ready to dance, you know, and start calling out the other dudes. But Thurman first, please feed him right up there to Jaron Ennis. Good name. And, you know, it's just unfortunately that Keith got the haircut and he can't get the ponytail knocked off this time. So he'll just have to give him a closer shave. That's all. But, yeah, you guys got anything else you want to say about this fight?
Yeah, I just want to say Keith Thurman would never get in the ring with an Ennis. Sean Porter, my other show, said that on that show on my Blue Bud, said out of his own mouth, no way I'm getting in the ring with Jaron Ennis. Because fighters, they see something in certain fighters. This dude is for real. And Sean was like, well, I'm going to get in the ring with him for a young lion like that. And that says a lot. This is Sean Porter we talking about. You know, and like I said, he's not close to his prime. And I know we nitpick blue chippers and stuff, and we did it to Virgil Ortiz, we doing it to Jaron, but I would love for them to fight. But once this kid start boxing and become seasoned, remember, tonight ain't nothing. He's going to be better, when he start to box. The knockouts is going to slow down, but once he begin to box, he's going to be more of a problem. But it's his footwork. The dude has a very beautiful jab, man. It just flows like spring water. And I'm like, wow, man, he came out jabbing, and then he didn't turn southpaw. And when you beat Lipinets, this dude doesn't lose rounds. I've seen him fight at least 7 to 8 times, and I can't tell you when he lost a round, maybe 1 to 2 times. I don't even remember. Now, I'm not putting him up there with Sugar Ray Robinson because he's not proven yet. He's not a champion yet on that level. But, when I see a guy that has talent like that immediately jumps out at me, that's my boxing alarm ringing in my soul. Like, this guy's different, Kurt. You've seen all of them. This guy's different. He's been blessed with certain attributes that the regular fighter is not blessed with. I mean, Bud and Spence are Hall of Fame fighters, and they're gifted naturally, but Ennis is gifted in another way. The only thing he has to prove now, does he have all the intangibles? Because getting hit solid and getting knocked down or getting cut, that's what I want to see. I seen that from Bud. I seen Spence have a couple of rugged rounds. I seen him hit, and he respond, in good fashion. So that's the only thing that's it. What I have on, Jaron Ennis. But I just wanted to see him do against an opponent that was 16-1. That was tough and proven, So he passed the test, and man, it was a great night of boxing.
Salute to my brother out there. Stay sharp. I always like to see when my man Stay Sharp is out there in the chat, man, because that's a coach. He has his own crew, and he always has them listening in to us, and also on the Tuesday tussle. And I really appreciate his support. So salute to Stay Sharp out there. Let's dial it back. Reggie, did you have any final words on the Ennis Lipinets fight?
No, I want to say with the Keith Thurman, because it just deals with fighters who reach a moment and they think, they want to hold the cards and hold the plays and, exclude certain people. They exclude threats from happening. Even what we see with sanctioned bodies that does the franchise type crap. Keith Thurman should be kind of a case study in what fighters should never go about doing. Is just go out there, make the challenges of the bigger fights, because once your moment begins to slow down, it's hard to kind of pick up from that, because you begin to lose your motivation, you lose your steam. And this guy just showed that he let one fighter, being Earl Spence, who he did not want to showcase himself against, take away a lot of the momentum he had. Keith Thurman could have been great. Who knows? Keith Thurman probably could have beat Earl Spence. But it took for him to watch, and that's a bad thing. It takes for fighters to watch a fighter go through a tough fight. Like when they seen Sean Porter make it a tough fight, then all of a sudden they have the heart and courage to think they want to fight someone. But hopefully Ennis doesn't come from the same cloth as these other dudes. He has so much promise within his career. The like Kurt said, that dynamic style, it's going to be something hard for a lot of these dudes to deal with. And his thing is just to keep moving forward, regardless, even if he suffers a loss. The only thing you fall back to is a drawing board. But that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, my final thoughts on it is this. If somebody want to, think about fighting him, you better fight him right now. Because a little over a year from now, that's going to be it. Because that's when he'll be able to just take over. There's some tricks that he can be, taught by some of the more seasoned and veteran fighters, but if they don't take them now, it's a foregone conclusion that a year from now, that's going to be it. It'll be his day in the sun. I like to dial it back to the fight prior to that, and that's when my man Stanionis took on Thomas Delorme. man, you know, I spoke about Imantas Stanionis, you know, last year when I saw him for the first time, just like when I saw, you know, Jaron Ennis for the first time. I'm like, the eye test does it, you know, when you see someone, they just have something, right? Now the two of them, is the irony is they're in the same division. They have polar opposite types of styles and everything. And I don't even know that if they were to fight, it would be a good and entertaining fight. But I do know this. The two of them, a year from now, are going to be guys that you wish that everybody talks about and who should be fighting and all of that crap. They're going to be what those guys were supposed to be. Because when you see a fighter with the experience of a Thomas Delorme taking on someone like Stanionis, and Delorme came out with a game plan tonight, and his game plan was to take the fight to Stanionis, use his lack of experience and whatnot against him, and kind of put him like in a fish out of water type situation. But my goodness, after 2 rounds, Delorme realized something. He was like, oh, this guy is different. And he's strong, and he just comes with the pressure. He has a solid chin. He has a shotgun pulverizing jab. And I don't think that Delorme, if he didn't have the athleticism that he had to move like he didn't plan to move like that for 12 rounds. I know that. But he tied the man up when he could. But even that was difficult because he was so strong. And I never seen Delorme be in a position to be trying to get the hell out of the way of a fighter like he was on this night. Stanionis he's a level beneath Ennis, in my opinion, at this particular time. But there are some guys that he can make one terror of a night with in that ring. Kurt, did you get a chance to see that fight?
Yeah, I seen the Stanionis. I wasn't impressed. Delorme is like a gatekeeper type of dude, man. He lose all his big fights. He lost to Ulgaz. He fought James. He lost to Crawford. You know, he's just there to give you guys some work. You know, I know you like Stanionis, but you know, he's okay. He's not a bum by any means, but you know, he's to me the typical Eastern European fighter. Comes forward. He's strong, you know, and got decent power. You know, nothing great about him, but you know, he's okay. I'm just not crazy about him. Stanionis, he's all right.
I thought I was gonna have to mute Kurt's mic, man. But anyway, Reggie, what were your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah,
Kurt is on one with me tonight, man, because I wasn't high on the Ennis like he was, but that's okay. It's okay.
No, we all should have our own. We got our own views, and I love that.
I mean,
oh yeah, it's no problem.
Well, wait a minute. I sit there and I look at a fighter and I study him, and my gift is not knowing history of boxing, but breaking the fighter down. I've seen guys like Stanionis before. Now, if you box him, Delorme tried to box. That was his game plan. He wasn't quite good enough. He was getting hit with uppercuts and stuff like that. He didn't have the strength. Because remember, Delorme is not a natural welterweight, come up 140 or whatever. But, you know, I thought he would get Stanionis, you know, it was a good sparring session.
You mean like Lipinets, right?
Well, Lipinets was proven, though. Nobody
but
never
I'm saying,
did that.
But he's not a true welterweight like Lipinets, though, right?
No, but Lipinets is the better fighter though than Delorme. That's the point.
Oh,
Lipinets
what
is
do
the
you
better
think
fighter.
that Stanionis would do to Lipinets?
No, you should have said what would Stanionis do to Ennis.
Well,
That's
you just
that's
heard
what I
me say.
want.
You just heard me say that I thought the margin of his abilities right now is beneath where Ennis is. I said that.
Yeah, I'm just not big on Stanionis. It has nothing to do with you being high on Ennis, because we all differ. I have my own opinions about many things. I'm big on Ennis. I think if he stay the course, then he will, because his talent jumps out at me. Stanionis, who you big on, his talent do not jump out at me. To me, he's a typical Eastern European fighter.
That's fine. But one left hook on the chin to change all that, won't it, Kurt?
I think you got that from me. Yeah.
I don't care where I got it, but is it true or not?
Well, I want to see somebody hit Ennis on the chin with a left hook. I want to see it. And then I won't say nothing for a week. I want to see it.
Okay, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. But no, Reggie, give us your thoughts on the Delorme and Stanionis fight, as you were calling it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a good fight, but it was hard to. I never seen Delorme fight like that, and I thought Delorme abandoned his game plan. I think what was the plan for Delorme going in here into this fight against this, rising young prospect who's never been in a 12-round fight was to really go after him, to test him in the first few rounds. See how he can handle the pressure, being Delorme's a faster fighter, and Delorme felt the power of this guy, just felt the strength, not so much early from a punch, but probably seeing how physically strong the guy was. He immediately got on his bike and moved around, being chased after the whole fight. Like I said, he fought that fight from a Uber. He kept calling Uber to take him over here, then he get in the Uber again, take him over there. That's how he fought. He moved all around that ring. If it was a flight, he'd have 1 million travel miles on a credit card. But there's a reason behind him doing that. Usually you see Delorme engaging in fights. He didn't want to engage with this guy, and it wasn't so much of Stanionis pulling out any of the power shots. He's just being hit with jabs. And even you seen the strength when he flung Delorme across the ring with that, just a little twist of the shoulder and pushed him back, and Delorme goes rolling over, was a sign of strength. And even also opened Delorme to fearing the guy, possibly even more. But he's just getting hit with jabs, just straight jabs, being very patient. That's the one gift that I give with Stanionis. He's a very patient fighter. He knows he's strong, but does he go about overutilizing that ability? No, he just slowly starts to break a fighter down. He starting to put it on Delorme. He didn't start putting the big power shots on Delorme until about the 10th round or something like that, before he started letting hooks go. But he did a good job cutting off the ring, following after Delorme. And the other thing was, he was never gassed in his fight. He wasn't gassed not once. The only time I seen him going backwards was in that one round. I couldn't understand, but I think you were saying he got hit with a low blow shot. But other than that, he came forward that whole fight. It was good work. I like the jab I see from Stanionis. I like the work that he puts in there. He doesn't overdo it. But he's definitely going to be one of these guys that's going to shock the division. I think he's a guy who's learning. I think they're going to keep him at his pace. I don't think he's moving. He ain't at the level where Jaron Ennis is. But if they meet one of these days, when they meet, they may put on a classic type fight with the two styles that go up there, because Stanionis is just strong enough to possibly give Ennis some problems if he's able to connect with him. He's a good jabber. He's a patient fighter. He's just as tall in height as Jaron Ennis, and we'll have to see. But I think he's right. He's possibly going to be able to get. I think Stanionis versus a Virgil Ortiz would be a good fight. I think he can possibly get that victory over a Virgil Ortiz. But he's going to be one of these guys that's definitely slept on, no doubt about it. But I enjoyed the performance, even with Delorme moving around, because I thought Delorme's footwork was good. Sometimes I view that to look and see how does a fighter go about making the adjustments to cutting off the ring against a guy who's, fleet-footed, very good at his ability to move, throwing off shots. So I gave it a good performance there. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole thing about the jab, man, it's like, I was wondering why he was keeping his right hand in reserve so much, because the right hand was there for him, especially after he got Delorme in the middle rounds. Just he was taking them, like pop, 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 snapping his head back. And I'm not sure that little coach in the corner there, that Filipino guy that came up with Pacquiao in Freddie Roach's wild card gym, I don't know that he's looking at the adjustments that can be made, because when you start landing the jab like he was landing the jab in the third portion of the fight, you talk about, the effectiveness of it. It's time to bring something behind that. So he became a little, one-dimensional in that aspect. But those are things that can definitely be worked on. But I was sitting there wondering about that. I was like, wow, because when you start landing, it's like Buster Douglas when he was landing his jab on Mike Tyson, and then he started bringing the right hand, and then he started bringing the left hooks and the uppercuts. It was like building blocks. It's like when certain things are just working, and you start to mix in other stuff. He was very effective with the jab, but he could have done a lot more with letting his hands go with a more variety of punches. And I think that that's kind of one of those things. Like when I said he's not right there with Ennis, he's like a measure below, because I recognize those kind of things. But I still like the kid because he's a guy that's gonna make a fight, a fight. He's not, how some fighters get in there and they kind of go through the paces, but it's not much of an effort. He's not one of those guys, and that's what I like about him, But anyway, if anybody got something else to say about that fight, I would like to get on to the fight of the night. And the fight, probably a good candidate for fight of the year, man. On the same card where we had that Filipino champion, Jaron Cahas, and he took on Nathaniel Rodriguez. Man, was that a fight for the super bantamweight championship, man. These two guys, they were getting down in that ring, man. I mean, they looked like you could have put that film in black and white watching them guys fight. It was an exciting match. A lot of punches thrown, a lot of contact, just guys coming back from the brink. I think that, at the end of the day, it was one of those fights that you just didn't see coming, but it's like if you had known those fighters, and I think I had seen a Cahas fight before, but 1 minute, guys, I want to hit this. We got another super chat here from the brother General Squirrels out there in that super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, Stanionis is good, but I think he can be outpointed. Yeah. At this point, if he doesn't add to that arsenal that I pointed out, it's like that will be something that can happen, but it's going to take a real class guy to be able to stand in there for 12 rounds with him. And, Ennis is a guy who can keep him off probably with some of what he does, but it's like there are other guys who are not that good. So let's just put it like that. You know what I mean? So just wanted to say that. But yeah, fellas, what were your thoughts about that first fight? Reggie, I'll come right to you.
Man, that was a dope fight. That fight was dope, man. That was like I was saying, man. People have to just stop thinking boxing relies on no-name fighters, and then when you see no-name, boxing relies on known fighters or popular fighters. And then when popular fighters get in there, you complain that the fight didn't live up to its hype, blah, blah, blah. There are fighters who fight for cause and have other reasons to step up to the plate. This is a championship fight being, what's his name? How you pronounce his name? Cahas, Anakas, Jerwin, I'm jacking the name up, versus Rodriguez. And Rodriguez coming in as a challenger to take his title. He stepped up after he got knocked down. When he got knocked down, I think that woke him up. And he began to just fight super, super hard in this fight. And he was looking to take the belt from this champion. Hold on, let me tell my kid to get out of here. Hold on. But yeah, he fought with tremendous heart to go after trying to take that title from Jerwin, and he put on tremendous effort. And then Jerwin trying to battle back. Jerwin, and the other thing I like from Jerwin, got nice straight line shots. His jab is effective, and then that straight left going down the middle is effective. Very, very good boxer, opening up distance. The mistake he made is when he decided he wanted to close in the gap and fight on the inside, and he started letting Rodriguez up in there. And the fight just went back and forth, man. I was thinking Rodriguez was going to end up dropping Jerwin. I had moments where I thought he was going to end up winning this fight. It was just a up-in-the-air type fight. Even though the scorecards were wide on this one, I just thought it was going to turn around and end up being a changing of the titles. But they fought with tremendous heart. They left everything inside that ring. They didn't take anything off. I think it took about 2 rounds for Rodriguez to wake up. I think when he got hit with a shot that hurt him in that second round, he began to wake up. And then he ended up suffering a knockdown. And then he really started to turn on with this fight and start bringing it to the champion. I bet he closed the champion's eye up. I think that left eye was end up closing up, or it was definitely swelling up. But that was a tremendous fight. I was about jumping around up in here. That was an exciting fight. And that's what boxing will give you. That's what boxing is about, man. About these popularity dudes. You want your stars to be stars and showcase things, but there's other guys out here that put on great fights. Boxing is about boxing. It ain't about other people being above it. But that's my thoughts on that. That was a tremendous fight right there.
And what about that 12th round, Reggie?
Oh man, they went for it because the challenger probably feeling like the fight is on the line. He can take this and become champion, and the champion feeling he has to get everything to remain a champion. And they fought that way. They fought as if they were even going into that 12th round, and they had to show these judges who should have came out of this one. And that was a tremendous 12th round. That whole fight, man, was spectacular, man.
I asked you that because of the way you called it. It was like you were like, really into it at that point. Coming to you, Kurt, what were your thoughts about this fight between these two men? Super bantamweights, man, they doing it.
Well, the division itself is stacked with talent. You got the Japanese fighter Ioka, who's a very good fighter. You got Estrada, who had the Fight of the Year candidate against Chocolatito. And you had Cahas, Jerwin Cahas. And Cahas is the first fighter to become world champion under the Manny Pacquiao banner, promotional company. He hasn't lost a fight in 9 years. But see, this will make boxing beautiful because Jonathan Rodriguez was a guy that nobody knew about. It was hard to get tapes on him. And you didn't know, and Cahas, people didn't know what he was going to bring to the table. And he was better than we thought. He was better than what everybody thought, including Jerwin. And it was a great, great fight. It was this was one of the fights that was like a mid-90s throwback type of war. I done seen so many fights like this in the 90s. Like I did earlier, and this fight didn't disappoint because when you don't know about a fighter and you don't have film or videotape, you don't know what he's capable of doing, and it always makes for a great clash. So that's what happened. I seen in Cahas stretch people, the bombs he was hitting them with. Now, he did have Rodriguez out with body shots, but he kind of got away from the body. And Rodriguez survived, but it was a great fight, man. I'll probably look at it again in the morning. Back and forth. It reminded me of one of those Tuesday night at the fights battles, man. And it had 90s written all over it. it's kind of funny that, we've been criticizing boxing, but today it delivered a lot of great fights, man. It was a great day for boxing.
Yeah, it was really a, we used to call them barn burners. That fight was so good, man. It just had everything. If you love boxing, it had everything that you love about boxing in there. You had ebb and flow. You had the changing and turning of the tide. Sometimes within the round, it was like you're about to give the round to one guy, and then the other begins to come back and take the round. I was having difficulty really scoring the fight because I'm like, if I gave a round to someone, am I giving it to the right guy? Because I really had a Cahas and Cahas ahead in the fight, but in that fourth quarter of the fight, you could see where Espinosa he was just bringing it. He was doing some things that made you say, you know what, I got to get this guy. I said Rosario. I meant Rodriguez. I was saying, like, I have to give him something. I have to give him a round because he's competitive. But I will say this too, and I'll ask both of you brothers this question, and maybe you can give me an answer. Want to say, first of all, we got super chat donation from Reggie out there. Boxing Conversation with Reggie Owens. He says, smash that like button, my peoples. Yes, sir. Thank you for that, Reggie. Supporting the show and supporting the channel, man. Appreciate that. I wanted to ask you, brothers, did you get a sense that maybe late in the fight, because of how hard he was throwing those punches, that Jaron might have hurt one or even both of his hands? Because in like the rounds 10 through 12, I thought he didn't have anything on his punches that were so effective throughout the fight earlier. But it wasn't like he showed it, but it was like how he was landing them. He wasn't throwing them. And sometimes you could say, well, a guy gets tired or whatever, but I don't know that that's what it was. But what you guys, and I'll come right back to you, Kurt. Did you get any thought or anything about that?
No, I just thought he got tired. It was a very grueling fight. He was in tremendous shape to go that pace, but I just thought he got tired because a couple of rounds early, I see he was sucking wind, and I looked at him in between rounds, and I seen that he was getting tired, and then one of the announcers said it, so we was on the same page. But coming down the stretch, quite naturally, if you get tired, then you're going to lose something on your punches. But I just think that the pace he set, was tremendous. It was one of those fights that, there was going to be some wear and tear, in the late rounds. I know it. I said, this is a fight of attrition, who wants it more. Like Rodriguez was going to take a knee and he changed his mind when he got hit with that left hook to the body. And, but he soldiered through. And Cahas, he started getting tired. And he made it to the end, but I don't think he hurt his hand. I just think he was getting tired and he would start losing some steam on his punches, man. But what a tremendous fight!
Yeah, I would like to sit up and watch that again one more time before I go to sleep tonight, because I was highly entertained on that. I was like, man, this is ridiculous. And we had another bantamweight fight like that on an earlier card. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and talk about the Joe Smith Jr. and Maxim Vlassov fight, man. This fight right here, a lot of people were sleeping on this fight. I had said something about it. I know my man L-Dub had said something about it. I think Kurt said something about it as well. And we were talking about it, and I said it on the Friday Night Chop session. Kurt likes to say, this is a good TV fight. And I kind of, echoed that because, some people just see it's like two Caucasian men, and they feel like, oh, I don't necessarily want to tune into that. But we kind of know that Joe Smith Jr. has a story, right? I mean, he's beaten some good fighters to arrive at this point, and he lost a unanimous decision to Dmitry Bivol, and Bivol has been stopping guys, and it's one of those things that it's like it's easy to try to dismiss a guy. They say he's a construction worker and this and that, but all he's done is get in there and beat people. And tonight with Maxim, Vlassov, I had said this guy, he's a good fighter, and it's a evenly matched fight. They have clashing styles, which would not clashing, but they have styles that'll mesh together that will make for a good fight. Because Joe Smith is kind of basic with that jab right hand, and his right hand is really a bomber. But I knew that this guy, Vlassov, the Russian, I knew he had this kind of herky-jerky style, kind of like a Tyson Fury who drops his hands, and it's like those guys can really, they can irritate you because he's always putting his gloves on you. He's hitting you here, and it's not like he got a lot of devastating knockout power, but you got just enough pop to make you want to try to defend yourself, because he'll bust you up and cut you up and stuff like that, which if you see Smith after the fight, you could see the wear and tear on him. But I knew that this was going to be that kind of fight, and I was so glad that it did turn out that way, because I had been telling people through the week and on last night's show, I was like, you guys tune into this fight now. It's going to be a good fight. And of course, most people wanted to see the Showtime card, but for those who could be versatile and watch on a different monitor or this or that, that's what I was trying to encourage. And if you did do that, or if you go back and watch it again, you won't be disappointed. But there was some controversy in there, and we could talk about that as well. Kurt, were you able to catch any of that fight at all?
Well, what fight is this?
The Joe Smith and Maxim Vlassov fight.
Yeah, I thought Vlassov won. I think Joe Smith looked horrible. He's one-dimensional, only has a big right hand. He's heavy-handed. His corner was inept. If Vlassov would have put the pressure on Joe, he would have had Joe out of there. Joe Smith was ready to go in one round, but Vlassov didn't give him an excuse. Sometimes you got to take the fight. You got to take it from the guy. I thought Vlassov needed a knockout to win. They wasn't going to give Vlassov this fight no matter what. They wanted to see Joe win. The announcers was biased towards Joe Smith Jr. Vlassov fought as well as he can fight. He's awkward and herky-jerky, type of fighter, but he fought a lot better than I thought. He's been around a long time, but I thought he beat Joe Smith Jr. I gave him the fight. It was close, but I gave Vlassov the fight. Joe lost the last 3-4 rounds, man, and he was out. And one round, he looked like he wanted to quit. He kept messing with the cut, but Vlassov didn't. He should have been more aggressive. It should have been a lot more urgency. His corner should have said, "Take him right now. He's ready to go." That's what you got to do. That's what knockouts are important. When you are fighting abroad and going in, you can feel when they're going to favor the other fighters. They really wanted Joe Smith to win, and he's going to get neutered by Better Beef. He's going to get knocked out, but they're happy that he won. But Joe Smith didn't look good at all.
Okay. Reggie, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I agree with Kurt, man. I didn't think he looked good. That's what I was saying. I don't know if Joe Smith put in the full camp, because what that opponent was doing, that opponent should have been knocked down, should have been knocked out. That opponent was tagging Joe Smith with his hands flat down to the ground. It was almost like the guy was trying to touch his feet. He just left his hands down, never really put him up, and he was just connecting on Smith. Smith looked tired after, when I kept looking over there in between the rounds, or even looking to watch it, he looked tired after like round number 3. He just didn't look right. and missing a lot of his shots. The fact that that fighter was able to land punches on him with his hands down, not staying. The guy didn't have to stay technically sharp at all, and Smith couldn't do nothing with him. But in that 11th round, you had real controversy in there with the referee stopping that fight the way he did, not counting that knockdown, even though it did land behind the head. I think it was more of what that fighter was doing. I think the second punch, Smith intended to probably hit him behind the head because of what he was doing with his head. And then putting him over in the corner. Now, there was some questionable things because Tone Brown brought it to my attention after the fight, because I seen the co-promoter of Joe Smith and the top-ranked executive going off. They were livid, running over there near the ring. I don't know how they ever sit so close to the ring to begin with, but running around, yelling over at that ref. That ref didn't know what the heck he was doing. He allowed that guy to be over in his corner. The Vlassov team putting the stool in the corner, giving him instructions and everything. But they were stripping like he needed to be in the neutral corner. But when he goes back over there, when the ref ends up returning the action because he's realizing he's screwing up and that people are going off on him, that co-promoter is sitting he's sitting right behind the judge. And he's saying something to the judge of this fight in that 11th round as they get ready to go into round 12. Wonder what was the influence of that promoter being pissed off like that, being able to be that close to access a judge, going off like that had an influence going into that decision-making of that fight. Because looking over at it, seeing what was going on, seeing Joe Smith looking defeated, except for that 11th round when he landed a shot, that began to hurt this guy and could have got this guy out. Had the referee made that count, I don't know if that guy would have made it up to his feet or whatnot, but it was questionable. But that was my thoughts on that. Still was an entertaining fight, though. It was kind of going back and forth, but Joe Smith didn't look like he got a full training going into this, because I know he does that construction stuff as well, but he looked bad in that fight.
Yeah, it was something going on with Smith, because like you said, as early as the 3rd or 4th round, he looked like he had been 6, 7, 8 rounds already. He just didn't look like he had it. But, Vlassov didn't come to lay down. That was for certain. He came out there and he was putting hands and feet and everything else he could put on Smith. And Smith was like, couldn't get out of the way. The guy was hitting him at will. And it was funny because he was content with what he was doing because he felt like he was outboxing him. And it's interesting to hear Kurt say that he didn't, try to stop the guy or turn it up or take it to another gear. And I'll tell you something. That's one of the things that really stands out in the sport today about fighters who are considered at the championship level or whatever. So it's like, what do you want to do to separate yourself from the pack? You don't see enough of that going for it. Now, in that bantamweight fight, we saw it. Those guys were really going for it. The champion was going for it. You know how you have to try to perk the champ up? Come on, we need this last round. No, that kid went out there and, Jaron, he was trying. And, of course, with Rodriguez was definitely trying. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll tell you, it makes all the difference in the world when you have fighters getting out there to really compete for that trophy, that goal or whatever, to be the champ, to best your guy or whatever. And, that's the way it is. But it did look kind of funny with those people running around outside the ring and everything and yelling and screaming. Excuse me. The referee lost control. And he allowed this guy to be over there in his own corner and stuff, like you said, Reggie. It was like something you don't want to see from the refs, But, again, somebody has always got to ruin it, right? If it's not the judges, it's the refs. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just one of those things, man. But let's move on to the fight before that. You had Ajaba against Howard. Now, didn't we see Howard not long ago or in his last fight have a lackluster performance again. And when I saw him out there tonight, I'm like, oh, here we go. You know, Kurt, did you catch that Ajaba and Howard fight?
Kurt had dropped off.
Oh, he did? Okay. All right. Okay. He just sent me a text. He'll be back. Reggie, what were your thoughts about the Howard fight with Ajaba? Reggie?
Okay, there we go. My computer had locked up. Okay. My thoughts. I see some improvements on FA. He looked a little bit quicker than what I've normally seen from him. His footwork looked much better. His ability to move, his ability to cut off the ring, his use of the jab. His jab looked a little bit much better. It looked much better. Howard had moments to where he could have did things. He could have did much better in this fight, but when it came to him opening up to throwing more punches, he left himself open. And that was with Ajaba stepping in, nice with the jab and a right hand behind it. I think I've seen improvements from him tonight. And he looked much, much better, even against this opponent that he faced in here. He looked way, way better. With whatever that coach is teaching him. I hear he has Shakur Stephen. That trainer that he has is training a lot of guys. And you've seen the improvements with them. I thought FA looked good, and that punch was devastating. It twisted the old dude up, a devastating punch. And thought Ajaba did very well. The thing he can do is kind of utilize more head movement. I think that's keeping his head there. He did a little bit better trying to roll and get out the way of some of the stuff that was coming at him, but his head being kind of straight, that can be an issue for him. But you have to be very strong to deliver something on Ajaba. But once Ajaba touches someone, that power is being displayed there. He's very, very strong dude. But that's my thoughts. I thought he looked much better. He looked more improved than what I've seen as far as the standpoint of footwork and hand speed.
Man, people are a trip. I'm looking at the stats here. We had a few people fall off, right? And that's okay. But they took their likes with them, man. What is that all about? These people, man, they just blow me, man. It is crazy. Anyway, I hear what you're saying, Reggie. But shout out to Elder Boxing because he says that Frank Sanchez stopped Howard in November on Fox. I knew I had remember him having a real lackluster effort recently, and I just didn't remember the fight, you know. But what I noticed in there against Ajaba was that Howard didn't know the meaning of a jab. And as you look at the fight, his hands were faster than Ajaba's. He threw a couple of shots that were like get away from me punches, you know. That's what I call them. But amazing if he tried, if he gave an effort. And I'm going to say it like this. I know there's some people out there, they know Howard and they like him and they support him and everything, but he deserved to get knocked out like that because he kept his hands low. He was rolling his shoulders and that stuff, rolling his hands, the things that we talk about all the time, and chin wide open. You got a man that's got a few inches of height advantage over you, and all he got to do is come right over the top, and your hand, the nearest place it is, besides protecting your head, is down by your waist. So I guess your ass is more important to protect than your dome. So by getting those two things mixed up, you saw where he ended up on the canvas. And the thing is, that's the thing I talk about all the time. Keeping your hands up. Do you think if Ajaba kept his hands low when he's fighting people, people couldn't get a punch in there? I mean, this is basic arithmetic. And how many times do we talk about this? And the next time I see a fighter out there rolling his shoulders and rolling his hands and doing all that twisting and turning and trying to, I don't know what that crap is. You go back and watch old tapes of fights, you don't see fighters doing that at all. You might even see a guy holding his hands low, but it's to draw you in. It's for a reason. It's a tactic. You got guys out here keeping their hands low just because they're stupid enough not to. You know, I made a mention earlier in your chat, Reggie, about Shannon Briggs. You know, he used to do that and get knocked out all the time by good fighters, because when you lean out of the way like that, all the guy got to do is follow you, because you're not doing anything to defend yourself. You're just like thinking you moving and turning. What if they move and turn with you? That's like guys who go straight back. If you go straight at them, you still going to catch them because they're not getting off on an angle or off to the side or dipping or bobbing or weaving or whatever. And it's like, you know, but here in the SHO, working in the gym with guys, this and that, we used to always talk about these things. You're keeping your hands up. Good for Ajaba. He looked great. It's a spectacular highlight reel knockout. But he's been working in the gym with Big Baby, the real Big Baby, Jared Anderson. And maybe that's why he's getting better, Reggie, because I'm sure that Big Baby has been able to do some things to him in the gym to make him mindful and to raise the level of what he's able to do. So did you hear about that he's in the gym with Big Baby training out of the same camp?
Yeah, I hear they got that trainer, Shakur trainer and everybody.
Yeah. So that alone will make you better, because you got a guy in there that's going to make you pay if you don't do certain things. And then it'll raise your level of being competitive too. So that's a positive. I don't know how that'll work out down the line if these guys might have to face each other, you know. But look, I done woke up watching out there now. He'll come back talking about Ajaba. He really don't like Ajaba. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that one, Reggie. The fact that you know, Howard, it's like, I don't think the guy threw 2 jabs in the fight. The fight went almost 3 rounds. He got stopped in the 3rd, but I don't think he threw 3 jabs in the fight. And if you don't jab, you have no chance of winning at all, because the jab is the probing punch to start setting things up and whatnot. And you let a man that's 6'5", 6'6" just walk you down, and you're not sticking nothing out there to halt his progress or anything, you end up like Howard on the canvas with your butt up in the air. So, but yeah, those are my thoughts on that one, Reggie. Now, I know that we had in the earlier fights on ESPN, they had Big Baby on there, you know, and he got an early knockout against a guy. I think he stopped the guy in the 2nd round, hitting the guy in his fat, fleshy, flabby belly, and the guy was like, that was enough, you know. And Big Baby came out in a chef's outfit with the hat and everything, and he looked like he was dusting off an English muffin. That's what it looked like. There was powdered sugar everywhere when he hit the guy in the belly, Reggie. What were your thoughts about Anderson and his performance?
Man, with that fight, man, the guy was scared. And it was something I heard them speaking of in a post fight, that when Jared Anderson stood in front of the guy, he see the guy was trembling. And this is before the fight started. So I was wondering, like, let me see what this fight is going to look like. Is this just something that maybe he thought he saw from this guy, and that the guy would come in here and show something else? But going in this fight, being those weren't even that hard of punches. And it's sad. But then again, the guy wasn't the most healthy around his gut neither. But it just showed that he really didn't want to be in that fight before things really start to pick up. And he just found the easy way out, just taking those knees. As soon as that count went down, he was back up on his feet. He didn't show any of the reactions you expect to see from someone that's been hit to the body like that. Over there drinking down his water, moving around, everything looked okay. He was scared. He was scared at the weigh-ins, and he didn't want to be in that fight. So we found that way up out of there.
Yeah. Salute to Africa Sci-Fi Scholar. He says, a raisin English muffin. Laugh out loud. Yeah, it was pretty bad. But let's go on, Reggie, to the original card that was earlier in the day, man. And that card was the DAZN card that saw us viewing the Conor Benn and Sammy Vargas fight card. Now, the one thing I will say about this card, and it is so obvious, man, that this was definitely a showcase fight for Conor Benn. But let me take care of the super chat business real quick. We got the brother Michael James 616. He said, "Dust it off, an English muffin." Yeah, Michael James, that's what I said, man, because that's what it was, right? You look at it and this guy looked like a cream puff, you know. And you had Anderson out there dressed as a chef. What else? They should have been in the kitchen, not in the boxing ring. That's as far as I'll go with that. I ain't gonna keep slamming them, but that's what it was. But Reggie, we saw this card. Now we know what happened with Conor Benn, but let's take it back to earlier in that fight, because in that card, because we had, I'm trying to look at my notes here. We had another bantamweight fight there in that fight card on DAZN, and it was against Espinosa and Farouk. That would be Cahas Farouk and Alexander Espinosa. This fight, Reggie, was a pretty darn good fight between two bantamweights that were evenly matched. Very good fight. What were your thoughts about this? Did you get a chance to see that one?
No, the only fight I really watched on that card was the Conor Benn one. But I was here listening to the calls, and I was hearing about the women as well. But I didn't catch anything else but the Conor Benn fight.
Okay, check this out. Do yourself a favor when you get a chance and just go back and watch that Farouk and Espinosa fight. It was just a shade below the other bantam fight between Jaron and Rodriguez. Unbelievable that you got two of those fights from that weight class today, and they were on opposite cards. You know what I'm saying? Very good fight, closely competed. You know, these guys were really giving as good as they got. Didn't have enough power to knock one another out. It looked like Jaron is a lot more powerful than both of these guys. But man, I'm telling you, Reggie, they had everything going for them. Good defense. I mean, counter punching, slipping. It was a good fight. A classic fight, which I thought was the fight of the night on that card. And there was the women's fight that took place, and you had what's the woman's name? Ebony Bridges against Shannon Courtney. Now this fight, Reggie, was a tremendous battle between the women. And the funny thing about it is, leading into the fight, you know, their press conferences and everything, Courtney, who was the favorite fighter, really despised Ebony Bridges, and her name is spelled, it's not spelled like the normal way we spell it. It's spelled Ebani. And Ebony, she's one of those women who exploits her beauty and her look, right? Very shapely woman. If you saw her at the weigh-in, oh boy, she's a looker, right? But Courtney was like, she's despicable. She's putting the sport down, coming in here looking like that, trying to raise, lower the standard and quality of women boxing and this and that, right? Reggie, you would have thought, and I thought this before the first bell. I was like, Courtney getting ready to get in that girl's grill, right? No. It was a battle, Reggie. It was a battle. These two women, they fought like they was fighting over the last purse in the what do you call it, the Gucci or something. They were going at it, brother. They were, and listen to this. By the middle rounds, because it was a 10-rounder, it was scheduled for 10. It ended up going the distance. But by the middle rounds, Ebony, one of her eyes, I think it was her left eye, began to close. And Reggie, the woman, her eye looked like Danny Dubois' eye against Joe Joyce. She fought through it, Reggie. And she was the pretty, girl, with the shapely figure and all of that. Man, she fought like she was the number one contender. I mean, she was in there. They were punching each other. They were going at it, bro. And the type of fight that it turned out to be was just totally, like, surprising. Because you think, oh, these are women. They going, and what's the other woman over there? Katie, what's her name?
Taylor.
Katie Taylor.
Katie Taylor.
They fought better than any of her fights. The two of them looked like they'll beat the crap out of Katie Taylor. The two of them, they were going at, they were fighting like men, Reggie. Blocking, slipping, parrying and stuff. And like I said, this young woman, Ebony, she ended up, I'll put hopefully anybody could see this on the screen. You look at the picture of that woman. She looked like she got beat up by a male that, abuses women or something. But she got looking like that because of the type of fight they were having. But even though Courtney won a unanimous decision, this woman, you have to take your hat off to her. The performance that she put on, Ebony Bridges, I want to see her again. And the fact of the matter is, dude, we saw Danny Dubois take a knee and his eye looked exactly like that. This woman fought 4 rounds, 5 rounds looking like that, Reggie. And anytime someone wants to make fun of women's boxing, show them this fight right here. This was all guts and glory. And kudos to these women for performing like that. They could have never been paid enough for the efforts that they gave in this fight. And I said it while I was watching it because I was listening to KQKC. Shout out to KQKC. Call it. Because I looked for you, Reggie. I didn't see you. And I went over to KQKC and he was calling this fight, man. These women, the fight that they put on, I said it in his chat. I said, we can't get male fighters to fight like this. And they make way more than what these women make. And you can't even get them to put out an effort to show championship medal. We were just recently talking about Jamel Herring, right? The fact that he was looking to quit against Okendo and he was forced to finish the fight and fight through his cut again with Frampton, because he would have been a complete laughingstock. He had no choice. But had he fought against Akendo in the first fight, he might have ended up with an eye like that. But he would also end up with more fans too, because they see you putting your heart and spirit out there. You call yourself Semper Fi, but you simply wasn't up to it that night, you know. But these women here, they put it on, Reggie. They put it on. And like I said, you do yourself, you go back and watch that super bantamweight fight, and you watch these ladies fight, you will be highly entertained. And
man,
huh?
I was gonna say, women love to fight. It's a good thing God made us stronger than women, because otherwise they'll be handing us our asses on a platter. Because women love to fight, and they fight over the most pettiest things. So in boxing, it's good when two women don't like each other, they will fight to the death.
Listen, man, it was a battle, okay? It was a battle. And I was like, whoa. I'm sitting there like looking at this fight like, man, we can't get the guys to fight like this. You can't. I don't know where they found that within themselves. And they never looked like quitting. They never looked like it. They were just ready for the next bell. Shout out to Ebony Bridges and the new champion, Shannon Courtney, man, because they put on a performance well worth the annals of boxing history for women. It was some great stuff. And L Dub out there in the chat, he says that was a fun fight. You know, and you know, if he says it's got to be, because he watches these fights, you know, all the way through, you know, from A to Z. But that was a hell of a fight, bro. A hell of a fight. And those women really put it on. They put on the business. It was amazing to see that the threshold of pain, and to be able to, you know, to just go out there and perform like that under that type of pressure. And there was also Savannah Marshall, who has defeated Clarissa Shields in the amateurs. She has a win over Clarissa Shields in the amateurs. She took on Maria Lindenberg, but Maria was not up to snuff. She succumbed to Marshall in the second round. But Marshall is a big woman. She's like, I don't know her height, but she might be about 5'9" or something like that. She's a pretty stout, strong woman. And somebody said that she boxes like Tommy Hearns. And she put this woman out in the second round after putting her down a couple of times. And she says she wants to go for undisputed. She wants to be able to wear all those belts where you have them hanging off your arms and around your shoulders and your waist. She actually stood there and said that I want that for myself, you know. And Eddie Hearn was out there talking crap, like, yeah, she whooped Clarissa in the amateurs and she'll whoop her in the pros, you know, that kind of thing. So it's like, you know, Hearn, you can't take much of what he says full throttle, because he, you know, he wants to hype things, but is he really ready to put that woman in there or not? That remains to be seen. But she does look like she can punch a little bit, and for her extremities, you know, height and reach, L-Dub says she's 5'11", 5'11 and a half. So that's pretty tall, much taller than Clarissa, right? And she boxes like a man. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful manner for women, but I'm saying her technique is good. It's solid. It's not like slappy or anything. She boxes. She has a little rhythm to her, and she, you know, comes at you snapping that jab and shooting that right and stuff like that. She's a good fighter. So to be able to see her in there with Clarissa, it would be a competitive fight. More so than a couple of those other women that Clarissa fought as she was moving down. So, but that's what I wanted to say about that, Reggie. Those fights. Now, let's get to the one that you did see. You know, on the night, the Conor Benn and Sammy Vargas fight. Why don't you give me your thoughts about this fight going in and how you saw it going in and what we ended up receiving, you know, from the efforts?
Yeah, this one I didn't know what I was gonna get out of this fight, so I really had no thoughts or predictions on it. I just wanted to see it, and then I get up to watch it. I thought this was going to be, you know, Vargas having more experience, being in there with few of the guys. I've seen him fight Ortiz. Doesn't Earl have a defeat over him as well?
Yes.
And yeah, so he's been in there with some of the bigger names, but I know Conor is a hungry guy looking to move his way up. So I knew he was going to try to use this as a moment to elevate himself and, you know, really breaking away out the shadows of being the son of his father. And I like that he doesn't hang upon that I'm the son of this former British great. He doesn't try to look like his father, doesn't use that name drop of who his father was. He's looking to set his own path. And I have to appreciate that. And he went in here and he just really brought it to Vargas. And he wasn't even like he tried to smoke through him. He started to set his boxing up. I was shocked to see that. I thought he was just going to come in here and try to run through Vargas immediately. It wasn't until he caught Vargas with a punch. And the thing about Ben, what I noticed from him is he looks to finish the guy off. And once he seen that from Vargas, he went in there to close it out, to go in there and finishing him off, connecting well with big punches, nice punches that rocked Vargas against the ropes. Now, that referee, being it was in the hometown, that draws into question about the stoppage. That referee should have gave Vargas an 8 count, should have gave him a count. But he decided to go with stopping the fight. But it's also for the fighter's safety. But he should have gave him an 8 count, assessed Vargas, looked at him, see if he cleared himself and if he was able to go back out of there. But ultimately, it just looked good for Conor Benn as a first-round knockout. Looking at who Conor Benn, he's looked to call out some of the big names. But here he is looking at what he called out Amir Khan. Like, that's trash, man. Get off of this Amir Khan stuff, Nigel. But understand it's a money fight for him being a UK fighter. I guess people in UK still, because they're loyal fan base, I believe so, but they still track over to go Khan fight. But nah, Ben, you got to go for some of these other names. Amir Khan is not where it's at. But to call Amir Khan, who's not going to give anything to show you where you're at. It's almost like what I don't like that I'm seeing from Chris Colbert, talking about fighting Gamboa. You're watching all these young fighters defeat Gamboa, and now you want to fight him rather than the other names out there who you can knock them off of their hill. That's what I think Nigel Benn should be doing, trying to knock other guys up off the hill. Not a guy like Amir Khan, but I understand why he drew that name out there, because Amir Khan's talking about fighting the Kell Brooks and this and that. Maybe he wants to step in the way of Kell Brooks and take the Amir Khan fight to probably make his best payday. But I think it's time for him to move along with his contemporaries and fight the likes of Virgil Ortiz, Boots Ennis, those type of names. If he is thinking about becoming, you know, what he wants to be, that's to kind of reach the level of success that his father did in the fight game. But that's my thoughts on that one.
Yeah, he also called out AB and Porter too, according to L Dub boxing. Yeah, man. I say Conor Benn take on Jaron Ennis. Make it happen. You guys are young enough, you know. Fight each other. Fight. I know who would be highly favored in that, but it's like still. You know, make it happen. No excuses. You out there, you got to come across the pond eventually. Might as well swim on in there right now. But no, on a serious tip though, Reggie, it was a real lackluster effort by Sammy Vargas, man. The dude did not have anything. He came in there looking mean and tough and mean mugging the cameras and all of that. And as soon as Connor's fists started flying toward him, he caved in worse than a paper mache house, man. It's like he just, you know, and I hate to see those type of lackluster efforts. It's like what I said about the women fighting, you know. They were real warriors out there. You see guys go out there like this, you know, all those tattoos on your body and everything, trying to give people the impression that there's something else going. And there's not much going. And why should Sammy Vargas be fighting anyway? He's been beaten up by the most recent of prospects who have gone on to become champions and everything. You know, he should just maybe be a hired hand in the gym or something. It's like, because his effort that he put out tonight, I don't think he can put out a worse effort than that, than to go down in the first round like he did, and maybe, you know, go down at the bell. You know, that's about as worse as he could get. So I don't ever want to see the guy again. And if he's in there against somebody that's coming up, I'll choose to watch something or do something else, because that's all he's doing now, and it's just disgraceful, you know. And you got guys picking him for an opponent, but they're not fighting each other. Again, like we said this earlier, you know, got all these named fighters floating around one another and don't nobody want to get in the ring. You know, how is that something that we should respect? Get out of here with that foolishness. But there was one other thing, Reggie, before we get ready to close our show out, that I wanted to touch on. ESPN, during their broadcast, they had a interview with Alex Saucedo, who has retired from boxing at the age of 26. He was last seen on the undercard between Vasily Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez, where he fought a fight against Arnold Barboza. And that's the fight where, when he left the ring, he made a couple of phone calls from his cell phone to his family, and he wanted to go to the hospital. He was anxious to get him in the ambulance, go to the hospital. He was having head pains, and it was something like he had never faced before. And it turned out, when he went to the hospital, he had a brain bleed, and they saved his life. And the doctors told, you know, 10 out of 11 people die, you know, from a situation like that. They die. And they were able to save his life. God still wanted him here for whatever reason, and he pulled through, but he can no longer fight. So he is really broken up about his career, because he thought he had so much to do and everything. But he was a real game trooper for coming on television, live air, and discussing his situation that he is so closely coming out of, because, like I said, that fight happened in November. This is only April, you know. And for him to go on air and talk about it and everything, he actually broke down after they finished the interview. But, you know, we talk about it all the time, that these guys, when they walk up those stairs, it could be their last time. But not only that, when you talk about optimizing your opportunities, we're talking about the economics. So when you see a guy like Saucedo, and he was in one heck of a battle. If you remember that fight with he and Barboza, it was a rough, grueling fight. But he had a few rough and grueling fights before that. And don't forget, we talk about this, you're taking punches in the gym too, even though you got headgear on. You're taking punches. So if you're going to fight, why not optimize your opportunities? Now, I'm not saying Saucedo didn't. What I'm saying is for these guys that don't want to face one another out there. Salute to brother KQKC Boxing Network. I see you out there, brother. Thanks for stopping by. He says, salute to the chat and my man, STORMYBMAN. Salute to you, bro. Glad you stopped by. And great call on the fight earlier. Yeah, so when you see a guy, you know, like Saucedo, who was trying to make his way in boxing, fighting quality opponents and things like this, and now he's fortunate to be alive, but he can't fight anymore. These guys that want to be paid and want to be respected and you have to understand that, you know, there's not one thing above another, but you could go in there against a so-called easy touch and get touched and end up like Saucedo or worse. You see, because like I said, taking shots, you're taking them in the gym, you're taking them in your training. You know, it's not just in that ring. People think that, oh, that's where it happens. Do you know guys probably don't tell their trainers and stuff when they have severe headaches and stuff when they're in the gym? Because they want to portray macho, that I'm good, I'm solid. But that may be the beginning of troubles. And then when you go in there on fight night, you're wearing smaller gloves, you know what I'm saying? You're competing in a manner of which, like, you don't have that same your energies aren't the same, because in the gym you could be more lax. In a real live fight, your adrenaline and everything is different. You know, you have and all of that is taxing on the body, along with getting punched and whatnot. So it's like when you think about these things, it's all, you know, the stresses that your body comes under, and you're getting hit in the head. You know, but salute to this brother that survived this situation, and hopefully he can find some kind of way to still be close to the sport, whether he's training people, becoming a fitness trainer to help people get in shape for the sport or something like that. But just know that you got people out there who didn't make it, and these guys treat one another as if, like, you know, I don't want to fight my friend, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. But it's like, if you're in there to make money, you're doing this for a payday, you might as well optimize your opportunities. So I just wanted to, you know, kind of bring that out, because that interview took place live on ESPN today. And if you didn't see it, I wanted to know, what are your thoughts about what I had to share about it?
Oh no, it's a solid point, but it's like what Sugar Ray was saying when he sat down on that Mike Tyson show with Hearns and Sugar Shane, is that he prayed every time a fight ended that every guy walked out of there in good health. Even when he watches fights, he states that he prays that these fighters are able to walk up out of that ring, and that's serious. But it also points in the direction of what they don't look at. That's why I get mad when I watch these fights and seeing the lame, almost as if they don't care, responses from medical officials in this sport. And that's why so many fighters get hurt. The response of the medical team is trash out here. Think there needs to be some mandatory thing, but then it's got to be promotions taking shortcuts. Or maybe they're paying the full money, but these doctors are taking shortcuts and expenses on what they're looking to bring into the ring. I think oxygen should be something mandatory, like I see over in the UK. Like the fighter who was knocked out by FA. I think they should have did a greater effort of tending to that guy. Many of these fights, that's why these fighters are dying and getting hurt in these fights, because of what's not being taken upon with medical teams. You see fighters get knocked out. There's no transport to getting them to the hospital. This fighter having to make a phone call itself. It's just trash, man. It's almost like they don't care for these fighters. And then it also brings me into why I understand why fighters like to take care of their business. I have no issue with that. I don't get locked up into that because too many other fighters out there. Let these fighters ensure that they're getting their money right, because ain't nothing worse than a person in a suit taking all the money for themselves, because they're going to exploit the hell out of these dudes. But it's unfortunate, man. But hopefully he finds a way to continue on to provide for his family now that boxing ain't going to be the option anymore. But yeah, it's unfortunate, man. That's some sad stuff. And that's the other side of this thing, is that you may walk in and that may be the last time you ever step back in that ring. But lucky he still has his life and he can carry on as a functioning adult. So, but dang, it's sad stuff right there.
Yeah, and you know, you and I have talked about this. We've had discussions on the shows and on your channel. One of the simplest things they could do is have oxygen ringside, because when a guy gets knocked unconscious, how do we know if his air to his brain isn't shut off because he's unconscious? You know, it's like things shut down for a moment. Yeah, you could come back and be roused and whatnot, but we don't know. But putting that oxygen on them right away is a way of taking care of the brain. One of the easiest ways, because they say that when the oxygen isn't getting to the brain, it's just within minutes that before you go into brain trauma of being brain dead or something like that. It's not like a long time. It's not like 10 minutes or something like that. It's far less than that. And depending upon the injury too. It's like, because there's just, everybody is different. You know, when you saw Howard go down from that knockout from Ajaba this evening, he should have been administered oxygen immediately. They were standing there looking at him and touching on him and stuff like this. It's like, that's not doing anything to help the man. The first thing they should have been able to do was get him on his back and get oxygen to him right away. That's the most simple thing you could do. Oxygen. It should be available ringside for every fight. And they can do it over in the UK, no problem. But you watch a fight over here, and you got 12 guys standing around a guy who's in distress, not doing anything but standing around him, making it worse because you can't even breathe with a bunch of people around you. You ever been doing something and you say, get back, give me some space, I can't breathe. And you ain't even been in a boxing match. So what the hell are these guys doing? I don't know, man. But you and I, we talk about it, Reggie. I haven't heard anybody talking about it on other channels or anything, because it's not thought of very much until something happens of crisis, right? But you and I, we kind of talk about this regularly, especially when we have situations with knockouts and whatnot. You could watch a UK broadcast and they will have everything that the fighters need. They don't have to walk from the ring. They'll get that stretcher up there in the ring, roll that fighter onto that stretcher and pull him out of there. In the US, they make you walk under your own power and everything. What the hell is that? Oh, man. I don't know. But, yeah, we talk about it all the time, man. We talk about it all the time. My man Shakers and Dice says, facts, just have oxygen ringside. So simple. Yes, sir. Big Dog Willie says, Stormy B, man, they have to assess the fighter. You don't want to give a person oxygen right away when they KO. Well, why they do it over there in the UK, Big Dog Willie? Huh? Answer me that. They do it over there in the UK. They have the oxygen almost on standby like they have water for the guys in the corner. Am I right, Reggie?
Yeah, and I don't see anything wrong with putting oxygen on somebody. Oxygen ain't going to kill you unless you put a fire to it.
They give you oxygen in the hospital, even when you don't need it. Anyway.
Yeah, the medical teams just suck out here. They trash because the promotions suck.
Absolutely, man. But why don't you go ahead and give us your final thoughts there, Reggie, as we get ready to close out. We've held the people long enough. It's been a great day of boxing. We had some wonderful matches today, especially those bantamweights and the ladies. Man, did they rise to the top this evening. They showed up and showed out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, another good day of boxing, man. Good post fight. Once again, thanks for everybody tuned in. And I forgot when Elder brought the fact with Conor Benn. I forgot because I was end up watching Spencer Furon and the what's that dude trained Anthony Yard. They called Kenny Porter on the phone after Conor Benn made that call out, and Kenny Porter kind of kicked the kid to the curb because he said he got bigger and better things lined up. And the thing he has lined up for possible for them is either getting in there against Terrence Crawford or possibility of rematching Earl Spence. But all in all, great post-fight show. Salute to everybody out there.
Yes, sir. And I want to say salute to everybody that came out to listen to the post-fight this evening. Those who donated to the channel with the super chats. I want to say salute to Kurt Sugar for stopping by, and the fact that Kurt and I had some disagreeable points. I know people like to hear when we disagree on some things, but Kurt's still my brother. It's like we ain't warring or nothing. We just see certain things, differently. But it's just like Reggie and I see certain things differently sometimes and whatnot. So it's like, but I appreciate the fact that we can have the conversations and bring our points out. And on this platform, this is what we like to do. And I also like the fact that we have people that tune in, even though they don't want to hit the like button. They come in and they listen to what we have to say. And it's obvious that they want to hear what we have to say because they come in numbers. Our numbers are growing constantly, and that means that we do have something worth listening to. So salute to those that are peeping through the blinds and through the bushes. Eventually you all will be able to come on out into the sunshine and let us see you and be a part of the family through this process, because that's what we do over here. We talk real good boxing and we try to keep it on top, and we respect people with opinions. No foolishness going on over here. You know what I mean? We do what we do and we keep on going. You know what I'm saying? So thanks for everybody that's out there, those that came in late, those that have caught us from the beginning, those who fell off early, because it's getting late. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Who we got next weekend, Reggie? I know we got some fights next weekend.
We got the YouTuber versus the UFC fighter.
Oh, okay.
And what's on that one? I forget, but I'm definitely watching it.
Okay. So yeah, we'll be back next weekend to fill out, the cards of what's gonna happen with that, and we'll talk about it. So, but yeah, this is STORMYBMAN, and I'm gonna get on out of here, let you guys go to sleep or go do whatever else you're gonna do. And for my man Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens, we thank you guys for tuning in, listening to us, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Peace.